Well, we're back here at the Hall of History, and we're looking at our 1950s unit. And the first one we got up is the Cold War conflict. After World War II, there was really two major world powers, and that was the United States and the Soviet Union. And it ended up being a conflict between democracy versus communism. This was a conflict in ideology. It was a conflict economically also, uh, where you had a socialist state versus a capitalist state, and the two ideologies just did not mix. And there was a real fear that the Soviet Union was going to try to take over the world, and the United States was there to stop them. Well, on this slide, you see the aims around the world. The United States really wanted to encourage democracy in other countries. U.S. also wanted to gain access to raw materials and its markets. The United States, after World War II, the economy took off. United States manufacturing and production increased exponentially. We were the largest producer of material goods in the world at the time. We also wanted to help the European governments rebuild and create stability there, and this would also help to create markets for our goods. The United States also wanted to reunite Germany, believing Europe would be more secure. And this was a continuing theme all the way up into the late 80s. The Soviet Union uh, wanted the struggle between the workers and the wealthy. They wanted to transfer the industrial equipment of Eastern Europe to the Soviet Union to help rebuild its own economy. The Soviet Union was pretty war ravaged by the end of World War II. They also believed the Soviet Union, they wanted to control Eastern Europe to balance the U.S. influence in Western Europe. And Germany, or the Soviet Union, wanted to keep Germany divided just because the German nation has went to war with the Russians twice in the last 30 years, and it caused almost, as you can read here, 20 million Soviet deaths in World War II. This was a whole area of espionage. You had the spies going on back and forth. Very interesting time period. This was not a hot war, so to speak, or a shooting war, but it was definitely it was called a Cold War because you had these differences in ideology. Well, the real kicker in all this, communism versus democracy or capitalism, was the whole influx of nuclear weapons. The United States had the nuclear weapon. Russia quickly also gained nuclear weapons. You know, they were bringing in scientists from Germany after the war, and this time period of nuclear weapons was very disturbing to many people, and it was a time of great buildup of nuclear weapons. And you guys are going to be doing your Google tour of nuclear weapons test sites. Here we have a political cartoon. This is the Iron Curtain dividing East and West Germany. It was coined by Winston Churchill, and you can see Winston Churchill on the left there looking underneath it. And over on the right side, you can see the lands that that the USSR gained after World War II. You can see where Poland, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, all these different countries were under the influence of the Soviet Union. There are some terms to know on the next couple slides here. Satellite nations will end up being a big one. Different countries were dependent upon the Soviet Union for all forms of existence. We'll see that in the 60s, especially with Cuba. There's the term, the Iron Curtain. The Warsaw Pact was a military alliance between the Soviet Union and other Eastern European nations. And here's the terms associated with the United States. Containment. The U.S. had a policy to block or stop the spread of communism, wherever it would happen to be. The Truman Doctrine would support any nation or government opposed to communist rule. The Marshall Plan to fund economically and industrially rebuild Europe with U.S. funds. And then NATO was the military alliance between U.S. and other non-communist nations. NATO is still in existence to this day. So these are the terms you're going to need to know as we go through this. So there's our first look at the Cold War conflict.